My husband and I both came into our relationship with children. My child lives with us full-time, and I receive child support. My two stepkids live with their mother. One is in college now, though, and my husband pays child support. We're all very geographically distant, but everyone is involved to the extent they can be. All of us are lower middle class, with similar incomes and cost of living. I started a savings account for my son just after I split with my son's father, roughly 10 years ago. I budget the child support separately, and any remaining child support money goes into my son's savings account. When I told my ex I was doing this, he voluntarily started sending a bit more child support to up what would go into savings. I put 50% of all my son's holiday money in there, and his dad occasionally tosses a bit more money at it too. The plan is to gift this money to our child upon some as of yet undetermined adult life event. I project this account will be somewhere between $20,000 and $25,000 by the time my son graduates high school. My husband is gifted 2 years of college tuition and all major living expenses for that time to each of his two children, paid through a work-related benefit. He doesn't have any additional savings set up for them, though, and I don't know if their mother does either. It's highly likely that she doesn't, as saving has never been one of her strengths. So I was complaining about a banking error in my son's savings account when my friend made a comment about how unfair it was that my son would eventually be given this large sum of money, while my stepkids will not. I was more than a little taken aback. I explained that the savings account for my son had never used joint household money for funding and came directly from his child support I received from his father. It had nothing to do with my husband or my stepkids. She was still quite angry and insisted it was wrong not to be strictly equitable no matter where the money came from. Now I'm not sure what to think. I've always viewed it more like I was saving my son's own money for him. The child support was never mine or my husband's. My stepkid's mother was equally as capable of doing something similar with the child support she received, especially given that she has always received significantly more in child support than I did. On the other hand, it certainly isn't my stepchildren's fault if their mother didn't do this. It is very likely that they would see this as being unfair and mean too. I'm not willing to short my son, and I'm also not interested in being viewed as the stereotypical wicked stepmother, but I can't make $40,000 appear out of thin air in the next several years. So, would I be the a-hole if I continue with my plans to save and gift my son this large sum of money without doing the same for my stepkids? No a-holes, except for your friend who got snippy about things. You and your ex-husband have done the best by your son that you can. You and your current husband are also taking care of his sons as best you can. The situations are not always going to be equitable. Your ex-husband certainly doesn't owe your stepsons anything. Wanting to leverage the ability to take care of your son with child support funds is laudable, not a-hole behavior. Not the a-hole. I think it's great that you're viewing the child support money as money that always belonged to your son. While you should support your stepchildren how you can, you don't have to be responsible for their financial future. That's the job of their mom and dad, especially since both parties are still in the picture. Not the a-hole. That child support money was for that child, not just any child. It's not like you took money meant to be a gift to all the kids and are giving it to one. You said at least one of the stepkids is in college, so I imagine they would be mature enough not to be bothered at all. Friend needs to mind their own business. I, 18 female, am the oldest of 3. I have a twin brother and another who is 16. I'm going to call him Matt, his nickname during this. I have my own apartment with my fiancé, 18 male, since we graduated high school 1 year ago. My apartment is situated downtown, and there's a lot of buses since it's also next to my school and a high school. My twin brother lives with his best friend in another city, and Matt was living with my mother until today. My dad divorced my mom when my youngest brother was 3, and we never talked to him again. Matt was always a bit of a delinquent, and would always disrespect everything and everyone. My mom never did anything about it, but earlier today, my mom caught him smoking and drinking in his room. She kicked him out because of it, and he only had the time to get a bag of essentials. He can go back to get all of his things later. Matt decided to come to my apartment by bus, and I let him in. I was wearing a sports bra, top, and a pair of basketball shorts. It's my favorite outfit, and I wear it a lot. After we talked for a bit, I decided to let him stay the night, and told him we would talk more tomorrow since I needed to take care of my fiancé, who got into a minor accident a couple of days ago. While I was walking to my room, he yelled at me how I shouldn't wear such things because it made me look like an easy girl. I got really mad, but decided to not say anything. I took care of my fiancé for a bit before going back into the living room and finding my brother eating and making a mess all over my couch while listening to his show really loud. I was getting even more annoyed and decided to tell him my terms in the moment instead of waiting. I told him if he wanted to stay, I can't let him stay free like that, and I don't get money since he dropped out of high school. I told him I'd give him 1 month to find a job, and he needs to sleep on the couch, and he can only bring his clothes since we don't have a place for the rest of his things, and that in 1 year, I want him gone. He told me I can't kick him out or force him to do anything, especially when he needs to sleep on the couch. Like he said, like a dirty dog. And then he called our mom, who was for stupid reasons on his side, and she started calling me a selfish bee. I think I might be the a-hole for potentially kicking him out, since he is my brother, but I'm not his caretaker or legal guardian. I don't have time, energy, or money to deal with him. Not the a-hole. If your mother is so on his side, she can take him back and deal with him. I, for one, would not allow someone who disrespects me like that in my own home, be it my brother or Santa Claus. Not the a-hole. Holy hell, not the a-hole. You're not his parent, and your terms are reasonable. He's both freeloading and being a jerk. In life, you should avoid that, but you can possibly get away with one or the other. He just had to go for both. Not the a-hole. Your mom just kicked him out, so she can get off that high horse and cease berating you for something she's responsible for and unwilling to be held to account. Your rules are reasonable, expectations of manners are reasonable, and if he won't comply, not housing him is also perfectly reasonable. Update. First, I wanted to say that everything is all right now. As some suggested, I went no contact with my mom and my brother also. I wanted to thank everyone for their help, information, and wishes that I received. After the original post, I went to work that Friday, and my fiancé was still at our apartment. During my lunch break, I called my landlord to ask to put on cameras. He said yes, and I told my fiancé he said yes, the landlord. So he, my fiancé, installed cameras in the evening after I went to buy some. Saturday, my fiancé and I needed to leave because he had a doctor's appointment, so that meant my brother would be alone with my cat. In the bathroom, the camera was placed so we could only see the pharmacy and nothing else. My brother was not aware of the cameras, and it's not illegal. We saw him take the pills in it, and he took the pregnancy test I was hiding. Nobody knew about it. When we got back, I told him he had a day to leave, and for him and our mom to not contact me again, or I'll call the police on him. Of course, he had to talk to our mom, and I got spammed with messages of her insulting me and other things I can't say here, and my fiancé decided to call the police. I called my twin, and me and my boyfriend locked ourselves in our room, waiting for the police to arrive, because I couldn't face my brother, and I was scared for us and what he could do. When they arrived, my fiancé went and explained everything to them. We showed them proof, the cameras, and texts, and I decided to put a restraining order on my mother because of the text she sent. My brother is now on the waiting list for a child center. I went no contact with them. When my brother arrived, around 1 hour 30 minutes later, I explained everything to him and had a breakdown. I could hear my fiancé and brother talking in the living room after I went to my bedroom, and they were really mad, but I'm thankful that they are ready to defend me so much, and how my fiancé interacted with the whole situation made me feel safe. I, 26 female, have 2 sisters, Shirley, who is 28, and Mary, who is 21. Shirley's getting married, and her naturally bossy and controlling nature has caused a few dramas in all the months of planning. At the beginning, Shirley had 6 bridesmaids, me, Mary, 3 friends, and her sister-in-law. Friend 1 walked away because Shirley wanted us to contribute $300 each for the bachelorette. And a few weeks later, her sister-in-law walked away because Shirley wanted the 2 blondes of the group, her and Mary, to go brunette so that they could all match. All of this stress has caused Shirley to act even more controlling and snappy, especially to our little sister, a very passive person who has always sought her approval. Mary changed her hair color, lost 3 kilos, agreed to look after the guest children during part of the reception, and got a week off work to help her prepare everything, all because Shirley wanted her to. Finally, the big day came yesterday, and Shirley was yelling at everyone during hair and makeup. At some point, she caught Mary eating and made a rude comment about that being the reason why she still looks fat in the dress. I must add that Shirley got her dress 2 sizes smaller than everyone else's. I bit my tongue and tried to understand that she was just under a lot of stress and not to ruin her one special day. I took Mary and went to do our makeup in another room until our sister calmed down, which caused some drama, but Shirley got over it quickly. The biggest drama happened during the reception. Mary thought she was supposed to watch the children during the speeches, cutting the cake, and first dances to make sure no child ruined the footage of those moments. But before any of that could happen, I found Shirley yelling in Mary's face in the back of the venue. Apparently, there was some essential footage Shirley wanted to get at the beginning of the ceremony, and it was now ruined because Mary was somewhere else. I intervened. Shirley started yelling at me, and I yelled back. She said we were ruining her wedding, and I told her that we would do better on the next one. Eventually, Mary, who had had a few drinks, threw up from the stress. Needless to say, Shirley got even angrier. I could take the yelling, but when she grabbed Mary's arm, I reached my breaking point and finally walked out, taking Mary with me. We missed about 70% of the reception, leaving Shirley without a maid of honor speech and without babysitting. Word got around, and some people told me that everyone was talking about it and speculating what happened. Mary didn't want to leave, and she's feeling really bad that Shirley is not talking to us yet. Now I'm wondering if I should have just sucked it up for a few more hours instead of ruining her special day. We are really close, and I don't know if it was worth damaging our relationship for a bit of an attitude. But I couldn't stand to see Mary treated so poorly by someone she looks up to so much. So, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. And what unholy bridezilla mountain did you climb down off to survive this nightmare? Whoever would ask bridemaids to dye their hair to match? Out-ducking rageous. No, and no. Bridesmaids are human beings, not little dress-up matchy-matchy dolls you prop up next to you. Ugh, and gross. Poor Mary needs to grow a pair of ovaries and stand up to this nonsense. You did right to pull her out of that highly charged situation. No one should ever be treated like that, ever. If Shirley, the terror bride, never speaks to you again, consider it a win. Not the a-hole. Getting married doesn't give you the right to treat people like that. If 4 of 6 bridesmaids took a hike, it's because she was the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Your sister ruined anything that was ruinable that day. No matter how much stress someone is under, her behavior was not acceptable. I, 40 female, have 4 kids, 16 male, 14 male, 10 female, and 8 female, with my husband, 45 male. My parents, 56 male and 56 female, had me when they were 16. I lived with my grandparents, Dad's parents, while they were in college. Eventually, they settled down and had other kids much younger than me. The second youngest child, my youngest sister, is 22 and is getting married this summer. Despite our age gap, I've always been close to my siblings and have been excited about my sister's wedding. But a recent argument has caused some issues for us. Our 14-year-old, Drayson, is a freshman in high school. He asked a girl out to the 7th grade dance 2 years ago, shortly after they started dating and dated for a bit over a year. Unfortunately, last summer she was in a car crash with a family friend and she did not make it. Her parents and Drayson have stayed in touch, and he's got some of her stuff. It's been tough on him, but Drayson has amazing friends who have helped him get through this. Drayson's girlfriend was Sri Lankan. While she and her parents were born in the U.S., her grandparents were not, and she had connections to her heritage. Both her and Drayson loved sports, so they would watch cricket together, and sometimes he'd go over to her house and ate traditional foods. For the 8th grade dance last year, she bought him and asked him to wear Sri Lanka flag cufflinks she saw online. He agreed to, and it's something he cherishes as a gift from her. Note, our family is not Sri Lankan. Drayson has quite a few gifts from her, including clothes, but these cufflinks are the only thing that would be appropriate to wear at a wedding. As the wedding is approaching, we decided to start going suit shopping. Drayson found a suit he liked. We got it tailored and got the ready version last week. Drayson is a very confident person and felt good about the suit and even posted some photos to Instagram. On Sunday, we were at dinner at our parents' house. My sister and her fiancé were there, and he asked if we wanted to see his fit. They agreed to see what he was wearing to the wedding. I could see my sister's face change while looking at him, and she shortly after asked to see me in private. She asked if he could not wear the cufflinks because they didn't match her wedding aesthetic. When I asked her to elaborate, all she said was that she's going for a traditional theme, and when I nudged her, she said she didn't think the cufflinks matched a traditional American wedding, and said she didn't want anything that could cause people discomfort. Shortly after that, we left, and I spoke about it with my husband, who agreed with me that her request was ridiculous, and we texted her saying he would be wearing them, and if he couldn't, we would not attend. She texted our parents and siblings, and it's caused a mess. Some of our family is siding with us, but others are saying it's her wedding. We should respect her rules. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. I guess not matching a traditional American wedding aesthetic is the new way to say I'm an R-a-hole. How in God's name can a 15-year-old's cufflinks cause people discomfort? This is so insulting and unnecessary, And there is no such thing as doing whatever the bride and groom say just because it's their wedding when they are being idiots. I would absolutely die on this hill, and just about any hill that involved someone telling me what jewelry I'm allowed to wear. Not the a-hole. That's ridiculous. Buy him matching socks. She didn't want anything that could cause people discomfort. Don't spend any time with people who would feel uncomfortable with cufflinks that display the Sri Lankan flag. I'd also just change my RSVP to no at this point. Not the a-hole. So my girlfriend and I went to the beach last Thursday. And on Friday night, after a wonderful day of swimming and hanging out and enjoying our favorite beach, we went to our favorite restaurant and had a great meal. When we were done eating, we walked onto a pier near the restaurant and watched as the sun set. The atmosphere was very romantic, and we had been dating happily for nearly 5 years. Judging the moment to be perfect, I got down on one knee and proposed. She said yes, and was over the moon happy and excited, and we didn't even leave the pier for another 2 hours because she didn't want the moment to end. She spent the rest of the weekend on cloud 9, and we finally pack up and go home. Here's where the problem starts. She personally tried to call her parents on Friday night after it happened, but it was bad timing for the parents to talk. After trying again Saturday, she's decided we'd tell them in person instead. So we waited for Sunday. We make a cute card for them to surprise them and give them it. Their reaction isn't particularly enthusiastic, but no big deal. At first, we thought it went well on the whole, but then her father says, "Wait a minute, you need to ask my permission before you propose." So he decides I need to redo the proposal at a large family get-together next week and publicly ask to talk to him before doing so, and then propose in front of the whole family. I wouldn't mind that much, but this will basically erase our previous perfect, real proposal with a fake proposal to suit his desires. Presently, I'm considering just going along with the request to keep things from getting escalated in a negative way, and I'm positive if I just do what he wants, he'll leave it alone after that. But if I'm honest with myself, I am livid that he ducked up our perfect engagement weekend for his personal preference, and I'm not sure how to proceed without blowing up my relationship with her parents, which has been pretty good up to this point. Suggestions are welcome. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. The dad is the a-hole. But for the sake of peace, I would ask your fiancé, does she want to stand her ground with you and keep your private proposal? Would she prefer to do a public proposal? Whatever you decide, if you two are a united front, then the family can't do anything. Not the a-hole. While he may leave the proposal issue alone, you're giving him exactly what he wants, which is a bad precedent to start. Imagine down the road when, and if, you guys have kids. I can bet your father-in-law will want a whole charade made for the announcement of the pregnancy. I wouldn't redo the proposal. Not the a-hole. What the duck are you actually considering doing? A second fake proposal just to appease your future father-in-law's ego? It's such an outrageous and disturbing concept. If you do this, you'll forever be controlled by him. Set healthy boundaries now. You're both happy with the perfect proposal, and that's all that matters. You can apologize to him for not asking his permission, but leave it at that. It's like he wants to reenact everything to fulfill his own desires, just so he can give you permission, and that's so ducked up. Engagement is about your happiness as a couple only.